Hello everybody, welcome to Pokemon Champions. So we had made a little recording, or it was a little YouTube stream I did the other day, just when the game finally released. Today I was hoping to, we're going to recruit a new Pokemon. I'm going to try and do this every episode. This is going to be a little series. This is going to be me trying to climb the ranks of Pokemon Champions with only a team that I can develop through the game itself. So I'm not going to be bringing in any Pokemon from Pokemon Legends ZA, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, anything like that. Currently, as we are right now, this is the team. We got Tyranitar, which was the first Pokemon that I chose, and then the team that it built for me, which was Drampa, Whimsicott, Arcanine, Aggron, and Sylveon. These are Pokemon that I've claimed from one way or another. I think Dragonite is arguably better than Drampa, purely because I have a Mega that I can give it. So I'm going to do that right now. Dragonite, we're going to give it that. This is a Whimsicott that I am giving Moonblast, Endeavor, Encore, and Tailwind. I think I am going to change the set to give it Fake Tears over Endeavor, probably. So let's do that right now. So this is pretty cool how the training works. For every stat that you were, like, let's just say I didn't want any of those in special defense, instead I wanted to do HP. It would cost around 150 VP. I have 20,000 right now. They give you an enormous amount to start out the game. So let me do this real fast just so I can carry off. We are going to give it Fake Tears. But as you saw, Fake Tears is like 150 VP or so. So it's not very expensive. I think it's really reasonable to build new Pokemon from scratch. In fact, whenever you do pick up a new Pokemon, it tends to have an EV set of some kind. Not necessarily a great one, which I'll show you here in a second. I had claimed a Sneasler from the recruitment thing, and the Sneasler's max special defense for some reason, so not great there. But it's pretty cool. For this Pokemon here, I'm going to give it, I think, high horsepower. I was running into an issue where I can't really damage steel types all too well because the main steel types that I'm encountering is Aggron. So we're going to give it like high horsepower or something. So there's high horsepower for the Tyranitar. Every other set is probably fine. I think I'm going to slot in Hurricane over Dragonite. Arcanine is kind of fine with where it's at right now. Dragonite might get like Air Slash instead. Draco, Fire Blast, Ice Beam. You know, honestly, this set isn't necessarily that bad either. I think Extreme Speed I will slot something out for. Probably Air Slash or some sort of special move just for coverage. I really like this Choice Scarf Aggron right now. It's not super good, but Heavy Slam, Head Smash, High Horsepower, Low Kick tends to be hitting everything that's like really viable right now. And then Sylveon is kind of like a whatever Pokemon, but it's better than some of the other Pokemon I have right now because I don't have the Meganiumite. Torkoal's not great for me right now because I don't have a Sun Team. Sneasler, I just don't really have great teammates for right now, even though I do think it's really solid. Honestly, might be worth slotting in just over Sylveon, probably. Let's try it. Yeah, we'll try that. So let's go ahead and give Dragonite a better moveset. Probably Sneasler a better moveset, and then we'll get into our first recruitment for the video. So I think this is where we're going to probably lead off the video with. We're going to do Tyranitar with Rock Slide, Knockoff, High Horsepower, Dragonance, Max Attack, Max Speed, Dragonite, Draco, Meteor, Fire Blast, Ice Beam, Air Slash, Special Attacks, Max Speed, Whimsicott, Moonblast, Fake Tears, Encore, Tailwind, Max Special Attack, Max Speed, Arcanine, Overheat, Will-O-Wisp, Extreme Speed, Snarl, Max HP, Max Speed, Aggron, Heavy Slam, Head Smash, High Horsepower, Low Kick, Max Attack, Max Speed, and then Max Attack, Max Speed, Sneasler with Dire Claw, Fake Out, Close Combat, and Swords Dance. We're going to do Lumberry to avoid status, Dragonite to Mega Evolve Dragonite, a Focus Sash Whimsicott so that it can always live one hit, Arcanine with the citrus berry so that hopefully it can live a couple more hits better. Choice Scarf Aggron because it's doing surprisingly well with the couple matches that I've done outside of videos, and then Sneasler with the white herb so that I can proc close combat and become the fastest Pokemon in the team easily. And Fake Out's really, really nice, which I didn't originally have. So we're gonna do this, and then let's go see if there's not another Pokemon that I can get through the recruitment process. Now the recruitment process isn't free. You can wait 22 hours and then you do get a free one. But if you want to just constantly fresh them out, you can make a new lineup of Pokemon by spending these quick coupons, of which I have 249 of. If you do the tutorial missions at the very, very beginning of the game, you can farm up quite a few. They're in the missions here or train here, something like that. You can also, of course, generate your teams from Pokemon Home. You just got to go into the app and send them to the champions, just like that. Let's go ahead and try and recruit a couple Pokemon. We're going to do this at least once. Let's see what we get. We have gotten Gengar, Charizard, Furfrou, Simipour, Golurk, Noivern, Lycanroc, Slurpuff, Rotom, and Bastiodon. Bastiodon, Rotom, Slurpuff, Lycanroc, Simipour, Furfrou probably are not the best Pokemon here. I think Gengar just has so much viability innately within it that I might just pick up Gengar for this. I'm probably not going to swap anything out on my team. But I do think Gengar is a good Pokemon to get. At the same time, I'm not a really big fan of Mega Gengar. I think its ability is really, really strong, but it's just not my style. So maybe I'll just skip out on that one and we'll... Here. You can get one free recruitment for 7 days. I believe you get one per week. So we can either do that or we can just get the recruitment real fast. Let's just get the trial recruitment and we'll see if we can get one more different Pokemon that might fit better with my team. My goal is to try and make a rain team. Right now I have Sneasler and Dragonite. No rainbow effect this time. There was a rainbow effect last time. Ooh, so I do have start of a rain team building here with Pelipper. I am going to pick up Pelipper. And I'm going to actually, I don't think I have any more of these. I have one more. So we're going to spend this on Pelipper. That ticket gets me a free or permanent recruitment. So luckily we have Pelipper here. If I go to the box, you can see that I was kind of trying to build a secondary rain team. Now initially I kind of thought Rampa was, its Mega had Drizzle, but I think its Mega is Berserk, the same as its normal ability. So not as cool, not as ideal, but still pretty neat. Sneasler, Dragonite, and Pelipper is a pretty good solid like rain core. Meganium with once I get the Meganiumite is pretty solid in rain, and I really want to experiment with that, try and see what happens with Weather Ball in the rain. Drampa's not quite as good on rain anymore. I don't think I really have another Pokemon that I really want to throw on there. I could try Drampa, but Drampa's just kind of Dragonite. Gengar doesn't really do super well on rain, not necessarily anyways. Machamp is okay. So I think for now, that's where we're going to leave Team 2. And let's try and get a couple matches in with the first team. Right now for double battles, I am in rank 2. You start at rank 4 if I'm not mistaken, maybe rank 5, and then you build up a little bit. I wanted to get some practice, see kind of how it went. I really quite like this game. It flows pretty well. It feels pretty good. It's not like super ugly. Let's completely randomize the music so we can get a variety. So far, my biggest gripes have been Charizard is kind of everywhere right now, at least from the very, very few games that I've played. And I got crushed by a Mega Steelix one time, which was a little weird because I actually do not think Mega Steelix is very, very good. But let's try and get a match here. Hopefully it boots up fast. I will see you guys at the team selection. All right, guys, we're into battle 2 against Dumb Man 7. Now that does not sound like a bot name to me, so we're going to assume that this is a legitimate player. Now there is no sort of power herb or anything like that, so this Archaludon is not going to be blessed by Electro. What was it? Electro Shot is the name. They loaded in pretty fast. Now this is a team that is quite weak to Sneasler. It is both Gambit, Archaludon, and Hydrapple, all weak to attacks from Sneasler. So let's look in Sneasler. I feel like it's a pretty good option here. Now if we were to go Dragonite is really strong into Hydrapple, and it has fire coverage for King Gambit. Archaludon's special defense is not super high, and there is no Assault Fist, so Dragonite can do quite a bit of damage there. That Oranguru is potentially annoying, and that there is that Torkoal, so yet again we are going to lock in Tyranitar, and then that Mimikyu, while it isn't a big threat, it does harm all my team as it is. I think I want to lock in Aggron and have that be my team for now. No Tailwind support, but we do have Sneasler, which is quite an offensive threat into this guy's team. Good luck and have fun. We're doing Torkoal and Oranguru. I'm definitely going to swap out. I mean, Sneasler here, probably best to just click Fake Out into Oranguru. And then my guess here is that Torkoal does not have a very great chance of living this Draco Meteor here. I imagine it could be Focus Sash. We aren't going to calc anything, so we're just going to fire off a Draco Meteor here into the Torkoal slot and try and get a little bit of damage. This I imagine would kill unless it is Focus Sash, and if it is Focus Sash, then Eruption will not be doing nearly as much damage as it could. They could be Lava Plume, which would be annoying. They could just go for like Flamethrower or Earth Power or something into Sneasler to try and get some damage, but they are just going to protect with Torkoal. Alrighty. Fake Out into Oranguru to do a little bit of chip damage, and then Draco Meteor is going to fail to land on Torkoal there. We are going to see a Trick Room, which is annoying, and I guess that was Covert Cloak? Or is Oranguru naturally immune to... Oh, it has Inner Focus, doesn't it? Okay, Oranguru, Inner Focus, it does have that. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So here we are going to pivot out into Tyranitar, and we are still going to fire off a Draco Meteor into Torkoal. Dragonite should do a very, very, very solid job of eating up this hit. And then absolutely Tyranitar with removing the Sun should do equally as well. And then ideally we can remove this Sun altogether because Dragonite's multi-scale will be gone after this turn. So we are just going to fire off into Torkoal. I guess they were anticipating me to switch directly into Tyranitar, which is really, really good play. But we are going to remove the sand nonetheless. They went straight into a Fairy type with Mimikyu, so they did a pretty solid job of neutralizing the threat of Draco Meteor there. Now, I kind of want to set up here. I want to go for Dragon Dance, but I think maybe Tyranitar could be slower than Mimikyu here. Mimikyu's max speed for whatever reason. Rock Slide could do some pretty solid damage into his team. At the same time, I also just want to stall out Trick Room a little bit as well. He has 3 turns left, so if I just go for like knockoff into Oranguru, I can completely Struct as it is. I kind of want to just go for Rock Slide though, as I said. So we're going to go for Rock Slide plus, I think, Air Slash into this Mimikyu slot. I want to double up and try and get a little bit of damage here. Oranguru is going to go for Encore. I did pivot like a target into the Mimikyu slot. So does that mean I click Draco into Mimikyu? And that Play Rough does a lot of damage into Tyranitar. More damage than I actually thought. So I am going to go for Rock Slide. It's going to miss on Mimikyu, which is really, really annoying. Definitely the Pokemon I wanted to hit the most. Draco Meteor is going to target into Oranguru though, so hopefully we can get a quick little knockout at Pokemon there. Really, really cool that we can knock that out right now. Now, if they were to go into Torkoal, that is definitely annoying. Maybe in hindsight, I would have rather them get some damage out on... I think I do have to pivot out. No, so I'm probably fine here to just go for another Rock Slide here. I think they might want to attack actually into the Dragonite slot, because Torkoal is still susceptible to big damage from a Draco Meteor from Dragonite. So if I can go for Rock Slide and get some extra damage on the both of them, that would be wonderful. And then I believe they only have 2 more turns left, so we can go for Draco here on the Torkoal as well. Just double up on that side. They could definitely click Protect, but I think both my Pokemon should be able to live this hit. I mean, not Tyranitar because it's so frail, but Dragonite might be able to live a Play Rough from Mimikyu. It has quite a substantial amount of bulk. It's not able to quite do so, though. That is totally fine. Fake Out into Torkoal will stall for 1 extra turn of Trick Room. And then we have Aggron as well, which should be able to do quite a bit of damage. We're going to go for that move. And then, what was the Pokemon that he had in the back? Hydrapple, Archaludon, King Gambit. A bunch of heavier Pokemon. That Heavy Slam might not be the greatest move to click into. Now the rest of the Pokemon are weak to CC, are weak to close combat. So I might just want to click Heavy Slam or Head Smash into the Torkoal slot, just to try and get as much damage as possible. At the same time, maybe High Horsepower is all I really need to click the damage here. They aren't going to protect with Torkoal, so Torkoal is going to get a lot of damage here. They are going to go for Play Rough into Sneasler, which is quite a bit of damage as well. The attack drop is fine because I do have a White Herb, so I can try and get my attack stat back here. High Horsepower into the Torkoal is going to not be able to pick up the KO. That is totally okay. Its stats are pretty low. I imagine they might try and protect it here. So I kind of want to double into the Mimikyu slot here. I'm going to click Dire Claw. You know, Dire Claw does have a chance to proc still through the skies, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe if I get lucky with a Sleep or a Paralysis, that could be all I really need. And then High Horsepower, the Torkoal yet again to just knock it out means Mimikyu is forced to click. Mimikyu is kind of fine to leave around, huh? So yeah, we'll just click High Horsepower into Torkoal and double into the supplies. Okay, Torkoal does protect. We are going to go for Dire Claw into that slot. And maybe get lucky with some sort of Sleep or Paralysis. Doesn't quite look like it. Maybe I could have doubled into the Mimikyu slot, but I don't believe it would have been enough to take it out anyways. And they are just going to go for the Trick Room, which is annoying. I believe that probably seals the deal here. I can try and click Close Combat or Dire Claw or whatever have you, but it doesn't really change the scenario here. I don't believe Mimikyu is going to be able to do a whole lot into Aggron, so the best thing that they have is maybe Flamethrower or Lava Plume. Lava Plume would make the most amount of sense here. Unless they don't have it and they're forced to click Eruption, maybe? They are just going to withdraw Mimikyu. Don't think it matters in the end here. They did read the Dire Claw. That Scorching Sands into Aggron is probably going to be enough to take it out, which is unfortunate. I really could have, you know, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that move there. Shell Bell. A lot of recovery. Did they change how Shell Bell works? Wonder. I think this is probably going to be the end of this battle here. I don't see any reason to move on there. Unfortunately, we did end on a loss there, but I think my opponent just played better than I did, and maybe had a bit of a stronger team synergy. It had Trick Room, which I wasn't really quite well equipped for, and I did click Focus, or I did click Fake Out into the Oranguru with Inner Focus, so I did enable that to happen. I could try to click post-combat into Oranguru, or could have maybe locked in Tyranitar as one of my leads, seeing that it was a Sun team. But there wasn't a whole lot else I can do. So we're going to try and get one more battle in here and see if I can pull out the dub. All right, we're back with another battle. Now this is another Japanese name. My experience so far has been that the Japanese names are botted players. So if this is a bot, you might not see this battle and you'll see the next one after this. But as it is for this team, assuming I am going to show you it, let's just cover what I can. Now this is a pretty scary team. Victory Bell's not really a problem, neither is Manectric, but Hawlucha does quite well into Tyranitar and Aggron. Does quite well into Sneasler as well. I could try and lead Sneasler, but I don't think it does quite well into anything other than Hydreigon and Steelix. I think Tyranitar does quite well into everything. The one Pokemon that it really struggles against is Steelix, but for that reason, I can actually lead Arcanine, which does quite well to a majority of his team with Overheat, Snarl, and Will-O-Wisp. Now, Hawlucha is definitely still a problem for the two Pokemon that I have in the back. I can just run Whimsicott, which I believe is a little bit faster than Hawlucha is typically, but it doesn't do quite well into Armarouge. So let's do Dragonite, and we'll do Sneasler as well, just because it is a really fast Pokemon. I believe it's actually fastest in the game here. Whimsicott is around 116 speed, I want to say. 116 speed, so it is actually slower than Hawlucha. We're going to see Hydreigon and Armarouge. And of course, we're going to need Tyranitar and Arcanine. Tyranitar is really well equipped for Armarouge. Now, if they are Focus Blast, that's a little annoying. I think I just want to click Knockoff into Armarouge and try and get as much damage as possible. Actually, you know what I think I really want to do here is actually click Dragon Dance and click Snarl with Arcanine. Arcanine is the fastest Pokemon in this little area here. There's no weakness policy to trigger on Armarouge, and Hydreigon will get neutered as well, and it doesn't quite do a whole lot of damage to Tyranitar anyways without a Flash Cannon, because I don't believe it has Focus Blast. So Snarl will be able to pick up a little bit of damage on Armarouge, a little bit of damage on Hydreigon, and neuter both of their special attacking stats, which just enables the Dragon Dance a little. Dragon Pulse is going to do a little tiny bit of chip into Tyranitar, and then what do I see from Armarouge? Just a Flamethrower. Now Rock Slide will absolutely be enough to pick up the kill on Armarouge. And then on Hydreigon, because it's not really a Pokemon that Arcanine is super well equipped to dealing with, I could try to click Extreme Speed and just see how much damage that accomplishes. But in the back, what would they bring out? They could maybe bring out Victory Bell, Steelix, you know, a Pokemon that actually Arcanine does do quite well against. The other option would be to swap out into Dragonite. Dragonite is weak to Hydreigon though, so I think just to make this a little easier for myself, we're going to click Extreme Speed on Hydreigon and try and get enough damage to actually pick up the KO on both targets with the +1 Tyranitar. Rock Slide is going to land on both Pokemon. Not going to be quite enough to take out the Hydreigon, but maybe next turn, especially if I can land a flinch here on Hydreigon, we can definitely get some sort of accomplishment. So they're going to taunt Arcanine, no flinch, unfortunately, but taunt Arcanine, that just means that Will-O-Wisp isn't able to go through. The other moves are all attacks, so I should be quite purple. In this scenario, I should be faster than Manectric. I don't believe Manectric's speed is that good, and even if it were faster than Tyranitar, its special defense is just quite high with the special defense boost from the sand, that I can go for high horsepower, just in case it's a Mega, and kill the Manectric that way. And I can also go for Snarl. I think Snarl did around 7% to Hydreigon. It might be enough to pick up the KO. Maybe I shouldn't risk it and just click Extreme Speed on Hydreigon. Extreme Speed is going to pick up the KO on Hydreigon. We're not going to see any sort of switch. High Horsepower should come out next into Manectric, and it's going to knock it out in one hit. Now the Pokemon that they have in the back is probably, we've seen Armarouge, which has been knocked out. We've seen Hydreigon and Manectric. We are going to see Steelix. Now Steelix is an annoying Pokemon. I imagine this is probably its Mega Evolution. That would be my guess, but I think this is probably yet another bot, unfortunately. So just to clean up this, we're going to click high horsepower and overheat. Overheat on its own is almost enough to take out generic Steelix. High horsepower, but overheat definitely will, assuming I can hit. So that's going to take out the Steelix. That's going to be the end of game 3. Because I believe this was a bot, let's try and get yet again one more match. And then hopefully we can end this on a victory. Yet again, don't have a whole lot of practice with PvP. My experience is very, very limited. Most of my own teams have been from rental teams that I found online, which don't quite work the same way in this as they did in Scarlet and Violet, as an example. And at the end of the day, this is a team that I've generated within like 30 minutes of gameplay. So hopefully, you know, this gets a little bit better the further along we get with the series. We're going to continue battling, try and get one more match, and then see what happens. If we can end on a win, maybe we'll look at the recruitment process one more time and see if we can get a Poke. Get ready to battle Rob. You see a bit of a Sun team here, really, really powerful looking one as well. We are going to see Charizard, Venusaur, Sneasler, Garchomp, Sinistcha, and Whimsicott. Dragonite does very well into this team. I think Whimsicott is in a phenomenal lead. But maybe I do Sneasler plus Dragonite up front. Sneasler can be a fake out into Charizard, and then or fake out into Venusaur. If they lead Venusaur Charizard, maybe that's what I end up doing. They lead Sneasler, I can try and get a fake out on it first. But Dragonite does really well offensively in this matchup. I think Whimsicott just makes sense to bring in the back because of that Garchomp, and Whimsicott is naturally faster with a super effective move, and then Tyranitar for weather change. That might be the plan. Good luck, have fun to Rob. He's on a 2-win streak, so hopefully we can snuff that out. We are going to see Charizard, Venusaur. Sneasler, Dragonite is up front. I think it makes a lot of sense to click fake out into the Sneasler slot, into the Venusaur slot, and then maybe just click Mega Evolution plus Fire Blast into the Venusaur slot to try and pick off a KO. Charizard doesn't have a whole lot it can really do into Dragonite. It can try and click Dragon Pulse, but that's not necessarily going to be enough to pick it off. I actually don't even think it would be close. And then with the fake out on Venusaur, I can pick it off before it can click like Sleep Powder or something like that. Fire Blast is easily my most powerful move, and if this is a bulky Venusaur, that's probably what I'm going to have to click. There is no Life Orb in this game, so Venusaur isn't necessarily the biggest offensive threat. I imagine it would be a bulkier type of Venusaur set. You're going to see a Protect from Charizard, which is totally fine. Fake out. Okay, we're going to see a double Protect. I guess they're scouting to see what I'm going to lend out, and also they do get rid of the fake out, which is quite annoying. Sneasler is naturally slower than Charizard. I think what I want to do is click probably Dire Claw on Venusaur, and then since Charizard is around the same base speed as Dragonite and I'm modest, I can kind of try to switch out here and go into the Tyranitar. And maybe avoid with a Sleep Powder or something like that, and get rid of the Sun. So we're gonna try that. We are gonna outspeed or underspeed if they decided to go for the Mega there, which is really unfortunate. So Sandstream is gonna go first, and they are gonna Mega Evolve. That means they would probably modest or they're not max speed, which is really annoying. Because as far as my understanding goes, the Mega process is the exact same priority as switching out. So they are going to go for the Sleep Powder into the Venus or into the Tyranitar, which is really annoying. But luckily I do have my Lumberry. We are going to go for the Dire Claw on the Venusaur. Their Citrus Berry is going to proc, which is going to put it once again over that 50% range. They're going to go for the Air Slash on Sneasler to take it out. Really unfortunate. Now we are going to go for the Whimsicott. Whimsicott is going to be enough to I think I'm going to actually Encore Charizard here. And then we're going to go for the Dragon Dance. If I can Encore Charizard into an Air Slash, that would be not very, very good into Tyranitar. And then we can hopefully avoid some sort of Sleep Powder if that's what they think they're going to be able to go for. So we're going to go for the Dragon Dance. Maybe they think Solar Beam is going to be enough to take out Tyranitar, not stress the Sleep Powder into the Tyranitar, and just go for Sludge Bomb into Whimsicott, which is going to snuff them out if they decide to go for that sort of plan. They are going to go for Solar Beam, which is annoying with Venusaur. I don't believe it'll be enough to take out Tyranitar, because Venusaur's special attack isn't quite good, but it is actually enough, which is really, really surprising. Maybe I'm overestimating Tyranitar's bulk. It's not as good as I guess I thought it was. So my thought process was pretty precise with what they were actually going for, but the problem was I didn't actually anticipate that maybe they would go in a different direction. I'm gonna go for Tailwind because I feel like I kind of have to. And then we are gonna go for probably Air Slash into Venusaur. Fire Blast is a little bit more likely to miss, so I do kind of want to Air Slash Venusaur slot. They might read this and Protect. If they do, unfortunately, that's just going to be how it is, and we're going to have to deal with the consequences of that sort of thing happening. Tailwind is going to come out from Whimsicott. That will make my Dragonite the fastest Pokemon on the field, more than likely. Air Slash is going to come out into Venusaur, and it is going to pick up the KO. Dragonite is locked into Air Slash. They might go for Air Slash into the Dragonite slot. It looks like they are going to target the Whimsicott. I don't know what I'm going to see next. They should still be locked in with Encore on Charizard. So they are still locked into Air Slash. Depending on what I see next, it might be easy for Dragonite to snuff them out. Like if I see the Sinistra, for example, I can go for Fire Blast. They are going to go into Garchomp, which means I do kind of have to click Draco into it. Actually, no, I have Ice Beam, so I can click Ice Beam into Garchomp pretty freely here. And then I think the only thing that they'd really be able to do is, more than likely, they have Protect. They would kind of have to click Protect here, yeah. But it was kind of the only play I had. I can't really click Draco into Charizard because I don't, one, believe it's enough to kill. But two, they're not able to kill me with 2 Air Slashes. And their only other move would probably be a little bit worse than even that. I am going to go for the Ice Beam on Garchomp. That's still their best play, is to click Protect again. Or it's either to click Protect or swap out into a Pokemon that's maybe a little bit better equipped to deal with an Ice Beam. Still, at the end of the day, I still have my Tailwind boost, so they'd probably want to preserve Garchomp at least a little bit. Ice Beam is going to come out and take up the KO on Garchomp. Now, I really do believe the best move that this Charizard has to hurt Dragonite is Air Slash, which isn't going to be doing quite a... Oh, that did a lot more than the first hit. Very annoying. What Pokemon do I see next? Is it Sinistra? Do you see Sinistra next? I could try and click Air Slash into Charizard and try and get like a flinch thing going on here. Sinistra is not more than likely able to take out Charizard on its own super easily, so we are going to go for the Air Slash to try and preserve my special attack boosts, or my special attack like range, but it looks like they are going to have the Rage Powder and pivot the Air Slash into the Sinistra slot. Now, the only thing I can think of that would be a way for me to win this game is if they were to miss the Air Slash here. If they don't quite do and land for the KO on Dragonite, sealing a 3-0 victory, or sorry, a 1-0 victory for my opponent, which I believe his name was Rob. Well, we didn't have a great win streak here. The video's a little long, and I don't really like to play or have my videos be super duper long. So even though I think my only victories in this round were against bots, I hope it goes to show that, like, you know, I had a little bit of a plan here with my team. Sneasler and Dragonite are pretty strong Pokemon. Tyranitar wasn't really serving me super well, but that's, you know, user error at the end of the day. Hopefully the next video will go a little bit better. And I hope you guys are excited for more Pokemon Champions content. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.